Each year, the people of America invest billions of dollars to create new plants and equipment. This invested capital buys the tools which make a man's labor worth more because he produces more.
We began a previous video segment with this 1950s lesson on how investing in new technology leads to the high productivity that drives America's economic growth.
Hi, folks.
But even the retro cartoon's hero, King Joe, worries about productivity's side effects.
Yeah, without capital to buy new tools, I might not do so good. But look what a new invention did to my grandpa. For 25 years, he knocks his brains out in the wagon works. Then along comes the gas truck. Need I tell you what happened to Grandpop?
There's no rule that everybody benefits from productivity growth. There's a great productivity advance that replaces horse-drawn carriages with cars, and all the people who were good at driving horses, maybe they're not so good at driving cars, and they can't get a job in the new world of where you need a license to drive a car. So some people will lose and some people benefit from most productivity advances.
In fact, workers threatened by productivity have resisted technological progress down through history. When Augustus Caesar ruled Rome some 2,000 years ago, an inventor cooked up a labor-saving way to make glass. It threatened, however, the job security of makers of glassware like this, so Augustus reportedly canceled the plans and executed the inventor, rather than seeing the jobs disappear for the sake of productivity. 1,800 years later in England, textile workers called Luddites revolted when the industrial age threatened their craft shops with machinery like this stocking frame. They smashed the machines, the state promptly smashed them. Technology had simply become too powerful to resist. In 1974 in America, workers at the Washington Post newspaper sabotaged their own presses when new technology threatened their union jobs. But they lost them anyway as productivity kept plowing ahead. As it had plowed ahead at this gas station at a highway intersection south of Chicago a few years ago, where a new invention, the self-cleaning restroom, had begun saving hours of labor each day. But even the manager was a bit troubled by the improvements in his station's productivity.
It's kind of worrisome because eventually they're going to find somebody to take my job, a computer to take my job.
Do you really worry about that?
When I start seeing stuff like this, yeah, it starts worrying a little bit.
In Utah, at the factory that makes the self-cleaning restrooms, the workers, who are happy to be working, still have concerns about the long run. A few years ago, Wade Whittle thought he could get by with a junior college degree. Not anymore.
If you're not a skilled worker, pretty much you're going to be working at McDonald's or somewhere like that. You have to have some sort of skill that people need. I mean, although there's a lot of automation and whatnot nowadays, I mean, you have to have people to run that equipment and be able to keep it up.
But those people have to be more sophisticated than they used to be?
Oh, yeah.
Is that why you're going to college?
Yeah. Yep.
Do you worry that there's going to be a bunch of people who don't go to college, who don't have the advanced skills, and who are simply left by the wayside in the economy of the future?
Yes, I do believe that.
You worry about it?
Yes, I worry about it.
You have kids?
I've got kids. I've got 4 children. And the most important thing in my mind is to send them to college, to provide a means for them to go, because I fear that if they don't, they will stay behind.
Now, as you listen to workers like Bernd Hanzig, you hear an undercurrent which may well be at the heart of the recent uneasiness about productivity gains, namely, who wins and who loses. The problem seems to be that it's workers in low-skilled jobs who increasingly have borne the brunt of technological change as those jobs are threatened. Good new jobs, by contrast, require more skills, more education. But though Professor Freeman sympathizes with the worry, even he can't see resisting the march of technology.
I'd like to see one of these machines, and maybe we should bring it to our office bathroom.
But you're going to be displacing unskilled workers.
Yeah, but if it's cheaper to have the machine, then in fact my company will do better, and therefore I better make that decision. I mean, you can't expect people who are sitting there worrying about the survival of their firm to sit down and say, well, I will in fact turn down a cheaper way of doing something. If the business community did that, we'd have no technical progress and we'd go backwards. And that's a problem for the society, you know, government and more broadly.
As for the worry that new, more productive technology will take away most jobs, Northwestern economist Robert Gordon brushed it aside when we first confronted him with the self-cleaning toilet threat years ago.
My reaction to you and your toilets is, so what? What else is new? I mean, we've had automatic elevators displacing the elevator operator 50 years ago. We had mass hysteria in the early 1960s when everybody said automation was going to eliminate all the good jobs, and then we got the boom of the 1960s. We've learned that creating jobs and high productivity are completely compatible.
But creating what jobs, we asked a more seasoned Bob Gordon recently.
Well, how about nurses? You know, we're not going to have little robots going up and down and sticking IVs in you, not in your and my lifetime. So we'll have more people working in the health sector. We'll have more people in media, talking heads on 700 channels instead of the mere 200 channels I get in my house now. I mean, there's lots of jobs out there. They're just going to be a little different than they were 50 years ago.
Stanford's Paul Romer is even more hopeful.
We've already seen, for example, that the number of people, or the fraction of the population that's engaged in collecting and distributing food has dropped dramatically over time. We've had remarkable technological progress in agriculture and food processing, so that compared to most of human history, where most of human time was just spent getting nuts and berries and an occasional piece of game, now a very tiny fraction of total human effort is devoted to getting the food that keeps us alive and keeps us healthy. So what have humans done with all of that extra time? Well, we do things like we build buildings, we invest in schools, we produce art, we make discoveries about the origins of the universe and evolutionary biology. Humans are creative, thoughtful people, and they found lots of interesting things to do with their time. And I see no shortage of important ways to use human time in the future. We could be doing a better job with educating. We could spend more time raising our children. We could interact with each other in ways that we find valuable. So I predict that we'll never run out of useful things for people to do.
That's pretty much today's point of view in mainstream economics and yesterday's.
The history of our country proves that new inventions create thousands of jobs for everyone they displace. So it wasn't long before your grandfather had a better job at more pay for less work.
But try telling that to the workers themselves, that in the long run, the economy as a whole will be better off. In the long run, as famous economist John Maynard Keynes once pointed out, we're all dead. Therefore, most of us are worried about the here and now. The corn broom workers of Autauguaville, Alabama, for example, would seem ripe to be automated out of existence. But they've spent years perfecting their craft. Danetta Underwood turns out 6 brooms an hour.
You need to take off your time because you might get caught in this wire.
Okay. It's getting hit. Getting hit. All right. Oh.
1 wire burn, 2 sore fingers, and 8 minutes later, a factory reject. My teacher, however, Brady Sullins, can assemble a perfect corn broom every 50 seconds or so. It takes a full year to become an efficient quality operator. So this is skilled work. It's just that the skills are so specific, they'd be very hard to transfer to other jobs. And the same is true throughout blue-collar America. In this part of South Carolina, jobs at the local textile plant are among the best around. But in the plant itself, industrial robots have been displacing workers for years. And the jobs that are left, like so many in an economy that features specialization, are tied to specific machines, specific processes. After being swept away by broom making, I wondered if textiles would be any easier.
You go through about a 12-week training program, and then you need probably 9 to 10 months of practical experience on the machine before you get really competent and actually know what you're doing with the machine and be able to make it perform correctly.
How long would it take me, someone with not a whole lot of mechanical aptitude, to learn to run one of these machines?
You may retire first.
The point is, productivity takes a heavy toll on those it displaces. In economics, which is all about efficiency and producing more with less, productivity is an unambiguously good thing.
You said it, brother.
But to many people in different times and cultures, productivity has meant the end of the line.